समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So today we are starting with verse 3 and we will do 3 and 4 together. ये त्वाक्षरमनिर्देशम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थम् अचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः तं प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः. Now these two verses, see, will be done together and one has to pay attention to this because this is in the language of contemplation. This is in the language of meditation. Because you see, something that is not definable, how does one think about that? The question is, how does one think about it? Now he's talking of meditation. I told you that many people ask, what do you meditate on? Or what can you meditate on? Now, Sagun ka to unhone bata diya. He has already told you the path of devotion that a seeker can do. This is the path of meditation. Now, you require a very different kind of seeker to meditate. If the mind of the seeker is so much into body orientation or it is into the world of objects and emotions, it is very, very hard to meditate on Nirguna Brahma. So, this is talking of the meditation on Nirguna Brahma. He dramatizes the contemplation by giving you arrow marks that think of this, think like this, think like this, think like this. But also understand that these are all arrow marks, not the target. Arrow, pointer, the pointer cannot be the pointed. So it will never touch the pointed. You cannot say that these arrow marks are definitions. Something that is not definable, there cannot be definitions for it. Definitions can only be for nama rupa, name and form. Something that does not have a name and form, how do you visualize it? So these are arrow marks towards that. Now this is ramping up to take a higher flight. The mind, how does the mind ramp up to take the higher flight? It suddenly cannot, because see, this is not an idol worshipper. This is not a Sagun worshipper. This is a Nirgun meditator. So Nirgun meditator has to have, the mind has to have something to think about, right? It cannot think about void. So here these are all arrow marks and the mind will ramp up on these arrow marks to take the flight to the unmanifest. Something that is unmanifest, has got no name, no form. So carefully, it is the unthinkable which is being described, the undescribable which is being described. Now, here he says, I'll read the translation, those who worship the imperishable, the indefinable, the unmanifest, the omnipresent, the immovable, and the eternal, having restrained all the senses, even-minded everywhere, rejoicing ever in the welfare of all beings. ये जो है ना सर्वभूत हिते रताः. Such a person will be always serving all beings. Verily, they also come unto me. So they also, see the word also, that means the seeker who with devotion reaches the Lord, this person also reaches the Lord. So the goal is the same, right? The goal is the same. This is a different path, and that is a different path. See, now over here, look at this. Uh, See, there are limits to the intellect. Okay, so most of the people have a very limited intellect, which can only work in the sphere of the known. It cannot even imagine. It does not visualize. It does not even try to think about something that is unthinkable. But our rishis broke the barriers of the intellect long back. And they were very deep thinkers, they were meditators, and they just sat under the open sky and thought and thought and thought of the reality of this world. And what is it? Now, see, uh, what is the permanent thing amid changes? Changes everybody can see, right? But this particular thing is not only beyond objective changes, it is also beyond subjective changes. What are subjective changes? Your mind continuously changes, your thoughts continuously change, you know, your evaluation of things changes, your what you value changes. So all those are subjective changes. Thoughts, ideas, perceptions, all those. But this is beyond that as well. Changeless substratum upon which all the changes take place. This enables change. The changeless enables the change. Like I always in the previous talks have given you the example of electricity. Electricity does not move, but it makes equipment move. It lends motion to equipment. Now, this thing which is called motionless, कूटस्थ कहते हैं, ध्रुवम कहते हैं, all these things, that it is totally changeless, right? Huh? Avikari, changeless. But all changes take place on that. So, we will do this. Now, ye dekho, let us. The first is Akshara. Now, Akshara means imperishable, as Gurudev has written. Now, imperishable, how? Anything and everything that you know in the world. Name any one thing that you know which is imperishable. There is none. You can go on thinking, but everything has a beginning and everything has an end. So there is nothing which is imperishable. When he calls it Akshara, then see, it is impossible for the sense organs to visualize such a thing. That is why it is called Gotit. Go is sense organs, and Gotit means beyond the perception of the sense organs, because sense organs can only perceive the world of change. They cannot, because they are themselves changing all the time. Their perceptions are changing, they have limitations, whereas this is a limitless Akshara. So here it is that you cannot perceive the imperishable. Now the next is Anirdeshyam. Anirdeshyam is that which cannot be defined. Anirdeshyam. Definitions are always in the field of the known. Right? I've told you before. Definition, you can only define that which is in the world of a perceived object. Something which has a name and a form can be defined. Otherwise, it cannot be defined. It can be compared to an object and then the definition comes. But when it is neither, it has form, no anything else is like it, how do you define it? So, anirdeshyam. After that is sarva gatvam. Sarva gatvam means that, wait a minute. Nirdesham avyaktam. Avyaktam is unmanifest. Avyaktam. So, why is it sarvagatam? Sarvatragam. Sarvatragam means all pervading. अच्छा sarvatragam. Sorry, English लिखा है ना. Sarvatragam. Sarvatragam means which is present everywhere. जो सब जगह पे है. All pervading. All pervading is called sarvagam, sarvatragam. Now here ये देखिए ये क्या है कि if the supreme can be indicated as not existing in any one place, then you can define it straight away, isn't it? So defining and sarvagatram are the same thing. If something is everywhere, it has no shape and no name, it cannot be defined. तो दोनों चीजें सब हैं. It is formless, and it cannot have any particular shape. It has, if it had a shape, it would be defined. So also now achintyam, achintyam. Have you ever seen any object like this, which is everywhere? Even air is not present in vacuum. It is not there. है ना? You also now have lately come to know that air is not there on the moon. There is no air on the moon. तो सर्वत्रम तो नहीं हुआ ना. Now say, so how can you think about it? You cannot think about an object which is everywhere, which is not perishable, and which has no name and form. So then the incomprehensible and unthinkable it becomes. You cannot understand it. Understanding is only with similes. What do you, when you are trying to explain something to somebody, you give a simile. Exactly, you give an example, and the person understands immediately because he knows the example and he does not know what you are explaining. So, with the example, it becomes clear. How does this become clear when it is similar to nothing? Nothing that you know, nothing that you have ever seen. So, it is a chintyam, inconceivable, incomprehensible, unthinkable. Because the mind also, last time I told you that the mind only can go in the realm of the known, and there is nothing known which is like this. Okay, next is kutastha. Kuta in Sanskrit means, blacksmiths देखे ना लोहार, उनका वो लोहे का रखा नहीं होता जिसपे वो they bang the iron and make it into they bang the iron and they make it into shapes, so that is called kuta, and kutastha means placed on the kuta. Now here he says it is kutastha. Kutastha means unchanging, because no matter what shape the blacksmith makes, that kuta remains the same. No matter how much hammering is done on that and how many shapes of iron are created on that, the kuta does not become shapeless, nor does it move. So there is no change in kuta. So kutastha means permanently there, permanently stationed with no change in it. Next is immovable. Achalam. Achalam is the same thing. See, achalam is interesting. Any movement can only take place in time and space. Now, see, Can I move from this shoulder to this shoulder? I cannot, because I am there in the whole thing. When he says that is all pervading, you remember that all pervading. So where does it move? Gurudev used to say it has no elbow space to move. You can only move from a place where you are to a place where you are not. You cannot move where, supposing you are everywhere. Where do you move? Movement requires empty space, isn't it? Movement requires empty space. To shift one thing, even a piece of furniture, to place it somewhere, you require that space. Oh, hai nahi? So then he says, a chalam. So it cannot move from one place or time to another because it is timeless. Akshara also means timeless. Something which is there, you do not know the creation and you do not know the destruction, is akshara. So see, all these things, all these definitions that are given here, not definition, I won't, sorry, arrow marks that are given here are interchangeable. Because think about it, that which is everywhere also has no name and form. And that which has no name and form is also undefinable. That which is undefinable is also not within the purview of the intellect, so unthinkable. Since it is everywhere, it has no movement. तो कूटस्थ, हाँ, तो ये सारे के जो सारे हैं, they are interchangeable terms giving different arrow marks for you, your mind to ramp up to meditation. Gurudev used to say that meditation is not a verb. People use it, I am meditating. You cannot be meditating. You can say, I am in meditation. So it is a noun. Till the time that you are in meditation, you are not meditating. Your mind is going all over the place and on a world trip. So don't ever say that I'm meditating. You are in meditation. So here all these things are interchangeable. Now dhruvam. Dhruvam means eternal, fixed in one place, eternal. Dhruvam also can be interchanged. Something that is eternal has to be unchanging. Something that is beyond time and space has to be eternal, isn't it? And do you know anything eternal? No. So it is unthinkable. Think about it. If you don't know anything that is eternal, it is obviously unthinkable. Interesting. Hmm? So it is beyond time and space, and therefore relativity does not apply. Relativity only applies to time and space. Relativity only applies to time and space. Beyond the Einsteinian world of time and space, you cannot apply relativity. Think about it. Think carefully about it. It's a very, these are all concepts. These are all concepts. And Dhruvam means eternal. We are only in the world of change. We know the beginning of childhood, youth, middle age, old age, death, decay. They are all changes. So it is a beginning and an end. Something that is eternal, we do not know. Your scientists always tell you the world was created, the sun was created, the moon was created, it came into being. So, what was there before that? So, all that, here the supreme, unconditioned, unparalleled, indefinable master of time is that great grand power because of which everything is possible. Thinking is possible, movement is possible, all the rest is possible only because of that substratum, that power that makes even these flesh, blood, and bones move. It makes you think intelligently, allows you to think intelligently. Even a dead ISRO scientist's brain cannot think. He may be very intelligent only when alive, isn't it? So, that grand power, which is the cause of everything, which is and which remains. देखो सत्य की परिभाषा त्रिकाल है. सत्य जो है, when you say truth, this is the only truth. The definitions or the arrow marks given here are for the ultimate truth alone. And that ultimate truth, one great thing that defines truth is Trikal Satya. It was, it is, and it ever shall be. That is called Trikal Satya. So here it is that it transcends every other condition of time and space. Now, see, these terms are all in the Upanishads, as Gurudev has written also, that all these are Upanishadic terms, and they do not belong to the universe of change. They do not belong to our world of perception. Now then, what does that say? So then, look what he says after that in the next stanza. Having restrained all the senses. ये देखो, sanniyamyendriya gramam. That means sarvatra samabuddhaya. That means he has to be equipoised. Samabuddhaya, equipoised. The seeker who wants to do this kind of meditation of the Nirguna Brahma, carefully, very carefully. Everybody thinks that मैं आंख बंद करके बैठूं और मैं निर्गुण ब्रह्म का ध्यान करूं. You cannot. You just cannot. There are preconditions to it. There are certain qualifications to it. That is why, I wonder at all the 3-day meditation workshop. Yeah, how can you have a 3-day meditation workshop? They will only teach you how to relax your mind for the time being. So you feel very nice. You feel very comfortable because your mind is totally relaxed and you say, I meditated. You did not. And you cannot learn it also in 3 days. It requires, देखो यहाँ पे वो क्या कहते हैं, having restrained all the senses. हमारा एक भी restrain है क्या? एक. अभी the best food that you like comes in front of you and your mind is gone. Isn't it? It may not even come in front of you. If you have coffee at 11 o'clock and the clock strikes 11, your mind starts ticking coffee, 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 isn't it? So how food oriented are we? Just one indriya and we have 5. So we are a slave to all the 5. Think about it, how weak you are. Here he says, having restrained all the senses. Now this is kshamadama of the indriyas. जब तक आपका full control नहीं है on your mind also comes under subtle body indriyas, and the 5 sense organs, they are gateways to disturbances. Anything and everything that you see, you feel, you taste, you smell, and you hear can disturb your mind or not, isn't it? That is how your mind gets irritable. You see a sad movie, your mind gets sad. You hear a sad news, your mind gets sad, isn't it? So, can that mind think of all this? Not even think, leave aside lifting yourself to this state. You cannot even think about it. Honestly, when you try to sit and meditate, where does your mind go? Ask yourself or watch yourself. Where does your mind go? Wherever your mind leaks to in meditation, that is where your attachment is. And you have to restrain your senses from that very object. Understand it is not always love. Yes, the mind is pulled toward the one you love. It is more strongly pulled to the person you hate. Carefully. When you're sitting in meditation, so many times the thought goes, this one has been unfair to me, that one has cheated me, that one has insulted me, how dare he say this to me? If I next time he says it, I'll say this to him. So what is your mind doing? Is it meditating? Is it in meditation? Is it trying to ramp up to these definitions or trying to visualize the reality? No, it is not. So, one major thing that a Nirguna Brahma meditator has to do is to restrain all the senses, because all your energies are dissipated through the five senses into the world outside. You need to conserve that energy, and then that energy is raised up to think of the higher. Whereas Gurudev used to say, you always think of the rasagulla, the pakoda, the coffee. Your mind doesn't move from there. He used to say, how can you think of the higher when all the time you are putting things in your mouth? That is how he used to talk. And we used to all look down, because that is exactly what it was. He's saying, I am teaching you the Parabrahma. And the dining room bell rings. All the Parabrahma has gone to the dining room. Chai, morning tea. Huh? So this is the thing. So sense organs are the gateways that need to be shut before you can take the flight. Even in a flight, all the gates are nicely closed, all the windows are nicely closed before you can take the flight, isn't it? Similarly, this flight to the Parabrahma, this flight to the Nirguna Brahma is not possible if even one window is open. Because something will be either coming in through that window or going out of the window. When we sit for meditation, क्या क्या नहीं होता? We are so body oriented, so body oriented. No, the fan is too fast, let me do it a little slow, right? Then you get up and do that. Then you say, no, the AC is cooling too much, let me shut it off. You shut again, do that. Then say, no, the asana is hurting a little, let me push the asana a little back, I'll sit in front. Okay. Okay. Now my leg is not feeling comfortable, so you change your position. So continuously you are doing these things at the body level, and don't even talk about the mental level. Where does the mind go? Even for a few minutes, you are not able to make the mind still or stable. How then do you think of the Nirguna Parabrahma and all these? So you have to slowly get habituated to pulling the mind back from dissipating itself into objects that are meaningless, into sense pleasures that are meaningless. Don't waste your time. There is very little time for a serious seeker. There is very little time left for you to move into this thing. So you have to slowly cultivate these habits and stick by those habits and see that your senses are in your control and not that they are being dissipated into the world. Now, then, ye samabuddhaya. This is always being equanimous. The mind should not get perturbed even if someone is insulting you, isn't it? Somebody says a rude thing to you. Oh dear. You stop talking to that person for a week. है ना? Mm. And when that person even tries to talk to you, you just look the other way. Huh? Go about with the sulking face. ये क्या है? It is because he has hit your ego. He has hit your ego. And at little things, your ego gets hit. Mother-in-law comes into the room and the daughter-in-law doesn't stand up and greet her. हो गया. The day is gone for the mother-in-law, isn't it? Because she expects the daughter-in-law to give that reverence to her. है ना? So all kind of expectations from any quarters, drop them. My children should listen to me. This one should obey me. That one should be sweet to me. I have done so much for this one. This one should do the same with me. These are all expectations in the world of social order. But more and more expectations we have, the more and more disappointment we will get. Because the world does not move according to our desire, they work according to their own compulsions. Okay. Now, any student who does not have inner peace or equipoise, that person should not even try to attempt the path of Nirguna Brahma meditation because he cannot do it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time for that person. So don't do it. The other person may be giving you choicest of galis. You should have the equipoise to look through that and look beyond. It is his mind that is vomiting his filth onto you. Just do Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna. Look the other way and say to the Lord that this is directed towards you. I am nobody, I am nothing. So forget it. Gurudev used to give the example of Christ when he was carrying the cross up the hill, and there were people insulting him, laughing at him, and spitting on him. And yet he had this beautiful smile on his face, and unperturbed, he carried the cross up. What a great teaching he has given! What a great teaching! That is a realized master. And when he reached there and they were nailing him to the cross, imagine how painful a death it could be, excruciating. And there also he had this to say, "Oh Lord, forgive them." Imagine. It is the big example of a man of realization, a perfect saint, a perfect master. So this kind of thing, when they say that always equanimous, you know that you have to understand that anything that is happening to you from the outside world, whether it is kicks or it is praises, please redirect it to the Lord. Don't ever think that it is being done to you or it is being said to you. That is the only way to keep the mind equipoised and peaceful. Otherwise, you cannot attempt this. Never you can. Okay. Now, maintaining, Gurudev used to say that an intelligent relationship with the world is very necessary. If you have this in mind that there is Ishwar in everybody, and that Ishwar, whatever is happening, is he is doing it somewhere or the other, maybe I deserve it, and so it is coming to me. If I did not deserve it, it would not come to me. It cannot come to me. And the person who is being unfair to me is making his own karma. So he will get the result of what he is doing. When you think like that, then the mind, that is the intelligent way to deal with the world and to remove yourself from all the madness and the crowd and the and all the things that keep on happening in the world, all the noise and all the tinsel from the world. Okay. Another thing that he says is intent on the welfare of all beings. Huh? This is, what does the verse say? Sarvabhuta hite rataha. Sarvabhuta hite rataha means all beings, insect, animal, bird, plant, or human, all beings, you have to see sarvahita, what is beneficial to all. You cannot be partial in that, and you cannot say that all the benefit should come to me and the rest the other person can take. You know, there was somebody in the war front who said something that, oh, I was praying so hard, and what was I praying? That all the bombs should fall on the other side, not where I live. Imagine. Now, praying that all the bombs should fall on other people and not on her house. What kind of prayer is that? So, that is not Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. It is something that you have to engage in the service of all. You have to think the best for everybody. It's very difficult. It's not easy. It definitely is not easy. But that amounts to being fair, being very fair in all dealings with the world and with everybody. With everybody. So that is Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. So the entire living beings, the entire kingdom of his, you have to serve and think that inka bhi bhala ho, mera bhi bhala ho. Never think only you should benefit or you should profit, because that will cause a karma to come back on you. You are being unfair to others. So this love. Now see, Gurudev, he is telling you three or four things that you must do. That the meditators, number one is to fix your mind upon him. You know, the upon the imperishable, the unmanifest, and all that. You remember we did all those terms. So you have to fix your mind on all those arrow marks. Number two, control the sense organs from dissipating your energies into the world outside, wasting your energies in the world outside on useless talk, useless gossip, useless things and people. It has got no meaning. How much of energy is spent? Just recently, somebody, Lajpat Nagar has a sale. You know this 15th August sale? And how much sale? 77%. Do you know? Let's go, let's go. So the two mother and daughter go to Lajpat Nagar. They climb the stairs. The sale is on the third floor and we don't have a lift. Going right up to the third floor. Okay. वहाँ पे buying this, buying that, even useless things which you don't need, because it is going so cheap, so buy it, buy it. These are all sales tactics of shopkeepers. So you buy, and with the whole load, come home very happy, very happy. How long does the happiness last? Then after that, the tailor, then giving the garments to the tailor, explaining to him what you want. After that, the cherry on the cake is that when the tailor brings the clothes back, the best cloth that you had purchased, he has stitched upside down. Now just imagine what has happened to all your energies. You have dissipated so much of energy, so much of mental emotions you have invested in that piece of cloth. Come to think of it, it is just a piece of cloth which has, you have given it the power to disturb your mind so much. Where do you think of Nirgun Brahma? The mind then is not capable of meditating on Nirgun Brahma, isn't it? Your mind is already so destroyed and dissipated. It is shattered. So see how that just one thing has gains the power to drain your energies. So that, so be very careful in that. So so this, control the sense organs. Next one is keep your mind equanimous. samabuddhaya as it says. And so that your mind and body is energized and enabled to serve all. The spirit of service should always, always be there. The spirit of service is very, very important. So here it is. So your dealings with the world have to be very clear, very fair, and full of service to the others. So we do just this much of the verse today, and the next we follow next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.